Hello, I'm Kellen Ryan, and this is my Encourage the Heart presentation over inclusive leadership. I'm going to start with the article summary. The article I chose to summarize is Inclusive Leadership, the view from six countries. And this article, it's a study done by a company called Catalyst.org. They partnered with a bunch of major companies such as IBM, UPS, Dell, McDonald's, and just some other ones to find out the value of inclusive leadership. The article starts off by giving an illustration of a woman who was doing some work in India, and she was at a big group meeting, and she was the only person there that wasn't Indian. And so she said she was trying to she wanted to make a point to introduce herself and to get to know a lot of the people there, just to build some rapport. And the leader, at one point, they're going to lunch. They all had lunch brought in, and all of them were eating just a special lunch. And he brought her something that was completely different than the rest. Everybody else was eating an Indian cuisine, and she was eating pasta, something more typical to America. And so she said at that point she felt alienated. She felt like everyone looked at her a little bit different as the outsider as opposed to one of them. And she said that from then on, the rest of that day, it took a lot extra work to get the rest to look at her, to get the rest of the people to look, to view her as someone that was with them, someone that was the same as them. They all viewed her a little bit differently. They didn't view her as part of the group. And so from there it goes on into inclusive leadership and the importance of it and some of the effects of it. So I'm going to start, just give a little background about the study. The study was conducted using 1,512 people total from a bunch of different companies from those six different countries. There's approximately 250 from each country, not exactly the same from each country, but very close. They were all full-time employees, and they were all 22 years of age or older, and then men and women were equally represented within 2%. So those are the backgrounds. So everyone, so it was a very well done study. There wasn't really any bias one way or another to lead to any errors. So what difference inclusion makes? What they did is they went into, and this one is in regards to innovation and team citizenship behaviors. And what they reported was that 42% people felt that they were more innovative when they were being included, or when they were being led by inclusion leaders. And then 46% reported that they were more likely to engage in team citizenship behaviors when they were being included. And by team citizenship behaviors, they're meaning going above the call of duty, doing extra to help someone else out as opposed to just doing what they're supposed to do. So inclusion definitely makes a difference with innovation and rapport, team citizenship, and helping each other out. Another part of this one was about belongingness and uniqueness, and what they said is belongingness plus uniqueness equals inclusion, and that is, and you'll see I put in parentheses, in most countries. Employees felt included when simultaneously they perceived that they were both similar to and distinct from their coworkers. Employee perception of inclusion, uniqueness 18 to 24%, and belongingness 27 to 35%. So they both felt, so those are the percentages of people that felt that being unique was important to inclusion, as well as that feeling a sense of belongingness was important to inclusion. Now it's interesting to note that India did not differentiate those traits as distinct work group experiences. So they didn't feel like one was more important than the other or anything like that, which goes back to the story at the very beginning of the lady who was working in India, and they gave her something separate than all the others, and they kind of excluded her, and they did it with good intentions, but it's because in India they didn't recognize uniqueness and belongingness as being important to inclusion. The other 5 countries did, however. So Also from this article, they determined that there are 4 inclusive leadership behaviors that are very important. The most important, they said, was empowerment, which enabling direct reports to develop and excel, encouraging people to make decisions for themselves, to encourage that innovativeness, and not feeling like they have to report to someone or have to get approval to do every little thing. They noted that a close second was humility from a leader, and a leader that's willing to admit their mistakes and welcome different views. And I think that one, they made a point to ask, for each person, for the person reading, to recall leaders or managers that they had, and the ones that they felt were very effective, or the ones that they felt reached them the most, and asked how much of them had that humility trait, that were willing to admit mistakes, that were welcome different views, as opposed to the ones that were a my way or the highway, and so it was kind of important, or it's definitely, I feel, very important. Humility is, because when I look back at the leaders that I've come across, or the people that maybe my managers or whatnot, the ones I respected the most all had that trait of humility. They said the third leadership behavior was courage, acting on convictions and principles, and then fourth was accountability, demonstrating confidence in direct reports. And they also went on in this article to give their definition of inclusion. They said that some definitions focus on valuing differences, others emphasize finding common ground to promote cohesion. And then they say that psychological theory, as well as the data they present, give credence to both those points of views. To quote them, they say, when employees feel unique and feel a sense of belonging based on sharing common attributes and goals with their peers, organizations best increase the odds of benefiting from workforce diversity. Our findings suggest that a balanced strategy of meeting employees' needs for uniqueness and belongingness can be more impactful in increasing employee innovation and engagement than a strategy focusing on only one or the other of those needs. So they go into the fact that both of them are very important, uniqueness, belongingness, and that having that balance of both of those as opposed to just one or the other. Okay, the video summary was business in the community and inclusive leadership. They focused on, they said that inclusive leaders, increase these 3 things: engagement, productivity, and commercial success. This was a business that posted this video, so they're going to be looking at it from a business standpoint. And the video continued to say that 84% of the people felt more motivated in an inclusive environment. 81% improved performance and productivity. And they said that there's 3 core qualities of inclusive leaders. They can adapt their style, they are skilled at developing and supporting strong and diverse talent, and they are innovative. And those are the ones that they feel are the 3 core qualities of an inclusive leader that are very, which I agree that those are all very important. Being flexible, being able to develop and support the diverse talent, and being able to appeal to everyone, and being innovative. Also, they say that, let's see if I got on this one. And with this, they say that inclusive leaders value small innovations that can improve productivity, customer satisfaction, and reduce costs. And they value big innovations that can lead to new products and new markets. Now, this is coming from a business standpoint, so that's the way they're looking at it. Which obviously, from a an education standpoint, we look at it a little bit different. Not going to be worried too much with the reducing costs and the new products and new markets, but those are the 2 big things that they're going to value. Looking at this from my standpoint, and how I could relate this to my profession and my classes. One class I have is an entrepreneurship class, and what it is My class runs the school business. We sell school merchandise mainly at games, whether it's football, basketball, volleyball, whatever it is. We sell T-shirts, rally towels, keychains, cups, necklaces, bracelets, the stickers, pencils, pens, all kinds of different school merchandise. And essentially it's a way for us to raise money. They get practice running a business. They get that actual experience with it, as opposed to just reading from a book. And so I'm going to use that class as a reference for the rest of this, or for this part of the assignment. And so what I could envision doing is splitting the class into teams. I'm going to use teams instead of groups, because I feel like teams actually kind of enforces or encourages the working together. And then what I envision doing would be having roles for each member. A team leader, or a research and development leader, a finance / pricing leader, a marketing leader, and a website leader. Each person would be in charge, or would have one of those titles. And so maybe the team leader would be in charge of the organization of how everything flows. However, that doesn't mean they're in charge of everything. When it comes to research and development, that person would kind of direct the research and development. One would kind of direct the finance, pricing. All of them would work together, but they'd all each be equally involved in one part of it. They would all be involved in each part of it, but one person would be heading up each different part. So that's one way I could see myself using, encouraging inclusion in one of my classes. I think that would get all of them involved. They'd all have certain responsibilities, but they would all report to each other, and no one person would be above the other. In leadership challenges, and when it comes to inclusive leadership, I think there are several. The first one that comes to mind would just be creating that inclusive culture, and mainly getting others to buy in, because there's going to be a lot of people that no matter what you do, maybe that's not their style, maybe they don't feel comfortable, and so it could take some people a lot of time to accept that and to buy into that. And when I think of a school, I know that it can be tough getting a lot of the students to really cooperate with others. Maybe they, for whatever reason, maybe they don't like them or whatnot. But there's a lot of stuff that goes on in high school where some people just aren't into that, and no matter what you try, they may not ever fully buy into the working together or that inclusiveness. Another one would be letting go of the reins as a leader, and when I say that, I mean kind of letting go and just kind of letting it be. I'm not a controlling person, but I am a perfectionist. If I had to a sense, I am a perfectionist in that I want things done a certain way. I know the right way, and at times it can be a lot easier to just tell someone, okay, do this, do it this way. This will get and that's how it needs to be done, as opposed to letting them figure out their own way to do it. And maybe they may not get it done exactly the right way, but letting them figure it out for themselves. And then it can be more time consuming. Creating that inclusion, and because when I think of it in terms of teaching, it can be a lot easier to tell someone, okay, do it like this, as opposed to creating a project maybe that requires them to do a lot of different things. It can be easier to just say, okay, here's the facts, do it, go get it done. Whereas trying to create lesson plans that are going to require them all to work together, require innovation or anything like that. So it can be time consuming. It can be tough for some people to let go of the reins, and it is tough to get some people to buy into that inclusive culture. So there are challenges. I'm sure there's several others. Those are just a few that I chose to highlight. Those are a few that came to me off the top of my head. So that's that. Those are the challenges. And that's my presentation. And these are the references. If you click on number 1, that'll take you to the article I read, and number 2 is the YouTube video that I watched. Thank you for watching. That is it.